my name is Samantha and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about what went wrong with my SE600. Let's get into it. So if you haven't already watched the video where I talked about the issues I was having with my SE600, I'll have that listed down below. Essentially, I was trying to sew, and every 6 to 12 inches, the screen would pop up and say that there was a malfunction, the sensor was going off. That was the thread tangled, was the needle bent. I tried so many things to fix it and it did not work. I gave up and took it to a sewing machine repair shop, and they were able to fix it. So drum roll please. What was wrong with it is that the needle plate cover and the bobbin case were not necessarily broken, but they were like damaged or bent, and so those needed to be replaced, and that was causing the sensor to go off. This was very insightful to learn this because I did not find that anywhere on the internet or in my research. So if you run across the same problem, try and order the needle plate cover and the bobbin case off of Amazon. They're only like 20 bucks, and then you won't end up giving a repair shop $100. Anyways, but it was very cool to go to the repair shop, and I've had my machine for 4 years and I've never gotten it repaired. So, you know, I take very good care of it. Going there was very insightful. The man that I spoke to when I picked up the machine, his name was Pierce, and he told me so many things that like I didn't know. I mean, I know a lot and I didn't know this. He told me some brother related things, some sewing machines in general info, and embroidery info. So the embroidery info, he told me, he was asking me like what kind of thread I use and whatnot, because not only did they clean and fix my sewing machine, but they also cleaned and oiled my embroidery arm as well. So he told me that the thread on the top is supposed to be a 40 weight and the bobbin thread is supposed to be a 60 weight, and that your tension should look like this. I'll put the picture up there. So he actually let me take a spool of 40 weight thread. So we're gonna test this out next week. And then he had pre-wound bobbins of the 60 weight. So we're gonna have to test these out together. I asked like, oh, how do you then do the bobbins? He's like, oh, you just buy them pre-wound. So I don't know, I haven't done any research, but I guess you can't buy 60 weight thread. I'm not sure, I don't really get that. But he sells the bobbins already done. So we're gonna test this out. I have some shirts that I need to work on, so we'll do that in another video. So some brother specific things. A nickel fits in the screws to tighten the needle, as well as to tighten the needle plate cover. If you use the black screwdriver that came with it, apparently there's a little give versus putting the nickel in, and that can cause the screws to become worn. And then if you use a nickel, it's better. So that was really interesting. Some thread, what am I trying to say? One of the stitches on here, I didn't know, but the one that has the dot at the top, that means that the back stitch is just like doing it in one spot. I'll put videos up here of the examples. It's just doing it in one spot, versus when it has the double line, that's when it back tacks backwards. And there are 2 cord types only. So remember when I opened the cheaper Walmart machine, I was like, oh, this is the same as my serger, I'm not going to open the cord. I asked him and confirmed there's 2 types of cords when it comes to the brother machines. So these sergers and the cheaper sewing machines, those have the big it's over here, the big chunky cord, and then the sewing machines that are the higher level ones have the skinnier cord. So there are only 2 types, so I can use that same one for the serger and the sewing machine. So that's something good to know, that if you only wanted 1 cord or you want things more compact, if you buy the sewing machine and the serger that have the same cord type, you don't have to have a second cord. The zigzag stitch, so there's a zigzag stitch that looks like it's like skipping, but it's not skipping. What it does is it does multiple stitches, so that way if you're doing a stretchy fabric, it allows it to stretch more. I didn't know that. I knew that you used a zigzag on an elastic or stretchy fabric, but I didn't know that. I mean, I don't do much garments. So there's a setting, and if you turn it on, it changes this little speed toggle. It changes it from meaning speed, it changes it to mean the width, how wide the fabric is. And apparently this used to be needed because of embroidery, like because I guess ladies would go from having wide zigzag to a smaller zigzag. I'm not really sure, I've not seen that before, but that's what he was telling me. Specific, or not specific, those were all the brother specific things. So to the sewing machine in general, I always just like held the thread when I was winding the, I cannot speak today, I'm sorry. When I would thread my machine, I would always just hold it at the top. I didn't know that if you get to the bottom, if you put the presser foot down, then you put the thread through, that then it'll be it'll have its own tension and you don't have to do that. He gave me a great suggestion that there's also a stitch. I'll show the stitch right here. There's a stitch, and if you use embroidery thread on your jeans, it's like a thicker stitch, and so it looks like the jean hem. So I thought that was really cool. So I thought that you should have the spool cap a little bit loose on the thread so that there's a little give, and he said no, you don't want any give and you want to put it tight. And then he said you always want the spool cover to be bigger than what the spool is so that it comes off nicely. And when you do the embroidery thread, you don't do a spool cover, you just have the embroidery thread. So I wonder if that's why sometimes when I've done the embroidery, if that's why it's gotten caught up, because I put the spool cap on. So we'll need to try that. Trying to remember my notes here. I just wrote press button, and I'm trying to remember what press button means. Oh, I know what it was. So I think it meant the back tacks, the ones that are just dots, if you just hold the button, it'll do 1, 2, 3, and then it will stop. Versus if you do the back tack that are just moving backwards, it will just continue to move. So the other one, if you just hold it, it'll do 1, 2, 3, and then it'll stop. So that's really interesting. So those are all the things that he taught me. I thought they were very interesting. They were things that I didn't know. It was a great conversation. I'm glad that I have my machine back and everything's okay. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did this help you out? Did you learn anything new? Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.